Hey everyone, it's Wolfram here. I'm going to talk a bit about scanning as it's coming now, we know, on Wednesday, 2nd of June, and it's something I've been looking forward to now for a number of weeks. And I thought I've left it for a while because I didn't really want to talk about too much of it because we didn't have all that much information. We still don't have all that much information, but I thought I'd go through the information that we do have and talk about my thoughts about what it probably means for the game and the changes and some of the things that you may want to look at um, in the short term, maybe in the long term as to scanning. But certainly mechanic I've been really looking forward to. And just so people who don't realise, scanning is a thing from Eve. Uh, in effect, what you can do in Eve, you can go out into space, into systems, you can scan those systems, and when you look at your systems, what's in the system. So when we look at it on here, if I just show you, um, I'll have to undock to show you, just in Jita. So when you look at it here on Eve Echoes, we can see everything in a system um, in our overview. So we don't have effectively a system overview. But when you see here, I can see everything. I can see all the ships. I can see all the stations. I can see everything that's in the system. Now, technically, you can see what's in systems in terms of structures um, and stations. I mean, it's not a thing that anyone's used at the moment. We may be using it at some point. So you can see the solar system, and it shows you the gates and the stations. And this is slightly similar to what you see in Eve. And basically, what it is, you'll be able to see things that are anomalies that you don't know what they are, and scanning will show you what those things are, which you can then warp to and do various things. So we know a bit more what's going to happen in Eve Echoes in terms of scanning. If I just redock, we've always known there was possibility. Well, we always expected scanning to be coming because we've had some rigs for scanning from the very beginning of the game. And I've got a couple of those rigs, um, and they've been worthless effectively because they're no good for anyone. But they're the gravity capacitor upgrade. All it says here is this ship modification is designed to increase the ship's scan probe strength. So there's always an assumption we're going to get some sort of scan probes. It doesn't look like we're going to get those because of what it says there. It doesn't say anything about skills. It doesn't tell us anything else. And the other thing that we were going to get was the emission scope sharpener. And this is to increase the efficiency of ship's relic modules. So, I mean, not all of this meant much to anyone at the time. These things, I've got these saved up from ages ago. I'm just going to hold on to them because I'm sure they're going to be useful now. And if you do want to find them on the market, I think the market prices have been going up steadily since we knew scanning was on the horizon, but they're under engineering rigs, electronic rigs, and there they are. So those rigs are available. They will be available. It looks like the market's already pricing the gravity capacitor upgrades higher a fair bit now. I mean, I remember these were nothing. I mean, you could use a couple of thousand ISK. And the emission scope sharpeners are obviously up as well. So, I mean, those things are going to be, they may even go up even higher once we know exactly what they do. So, we knew scanning was coming, we knew there was those things, and then we'll just take you through a few of the bits and pieces. And what we got about 3-4 weeks ago was an article about scanning, which I'll link in the description below, which set out quite a bit of lore and quite a few other things, and then some content creators. I'm not included in that group of content creators. The official content creators were given some screenshots and some information in respect of the scanning process from developers. So effectively, what I'm showing you is the screenshots they were provided in respect of that, and what we can see is if I just we can't really tell much, but you can tell that there are going to be signals that you can scan people down, that you can get, if you've been scanned down in certain circumstances, we know that there's going to be a bit more information and a bit more change. And I'm going to go into a bit more into this because I think some of this is unclear. We've got these pictures. I showed you the solar system, so you'll have signals which you can track down, and then clearly there are some timers involved in some of those signals on the dev version. I mean, we don't know what we're actually going to get. And this is how it's going to look in terms of the scanning. There's a signal, and you have to remove it. So the mechanics aren't clear. I'm not going to go hugely into the mechanics because I simply don't know what they are. It's just pure speculation, and we can see these sorts of things. So that's fine. The article is one that was provided on Eve Echoes, and I will just. So this was the article that was provided on eveechoes.com, intro into scanning. There are other videos going through this in more detail. Again, I'm not going to go through this in detail, just I'll link it if you want to go read it. That's absolutely fine. And so we know there's going to be that. We know there's going to be modules. So let's have a look at the Discord. So in Discord, we've been given some information. We had obviously the intro to scanning. I showed you the thing that's just been posted today about the scanning that's coming. We had an update, giving you a very short update here on Twitter, and then we had an update from Joseph on Discord about scanning as well. And so if I'm going to summarize these things really in terms of what we know is that Nihilist space is going to be the dungeons, the extra rooms, whatever you want to call it, that is going to involve scanning. So really scanning falls into two categories, PvE and PvP. There's a little bit of a crossover and we'll talk about it. But in terms of the workings of scanning, you're clearly going to be able to find Nihilist space using the scanning technique. Now there's going to be some sort of modules for scanning. There's clearly going to be some rigs for scanning. There's no doubt going to make it easier to find these things, faster to find these things, give you increased probability, something like that. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be, we know it's going to be along those lines. So in terms of Nihilist space, we're going to be able to find that. You're going to be able to go find it, and there's clearly going to be two different types. If you have capsuleer outposts, there's going to be an all gravity well and a dead space gravity well. In effect, in Nihilist space, however it's going to work, whether you can find both, whether they're going to be two different things, whether they're going to be the same thing, it's not entirely clear. But what you're going to be able to do is go into Nihilist space, and you're either going to be able to mine the rich ores, and there's going to be lots of it, according to what they're saying. Great, so you can do mining and get benefits from that, or you can jump into dead space ones and you can do advanced dead space anomalies and get the loot that you need from that. We know that loot's also going to include the loot you require to upgrade the current C-type dead space modules that you can get. So C-type can become B-type, A-type, and X-type. We don't know how difficult those are going to be. We're told it's difficult. We don't know how easy they're going to be found. We know that capsuleer outposts in sovereign space are going to be able to spawn these in those systems. So we know that that's going to be something, that the capsuleer outposts are going to get some sort of module, two modules, one for an ore gravity well, one for a dead space gravity well, and they can create those in stable sovereign space. Don't know if that's going to be possible in low sec yet, because we can drop capsuleer outposts in low sec. So we don't know if that's going to if that counts as a stable sovereign space. It sounds to me certainly we'll be able to drop them in nullsec where sovereignty is being claimed by citadels, and that gives something for citadels. So those mechanics in terms of the PvE aspect of it, I think are going to be relatively clear and come out relatively clear one way or another. The other thing you'll be able to do with scanning is scan down ships and other capsuleer outposts. Citadels are relatively easy to find because as long as you're near a planet, you'll find them. They're not as well hidden as the capsuleer outposts are. But your scanning will be able to find ships and the outposts. So that brings a really good new element, in my view, to PvP, which means that you're going to be able to hunt in low sec. Because low sec at the moment, I mean, hunting in it is just pointless because you're either running encounters in low sec and you can't find them, um, and they're not doing anything else, but they're not mining and they're not doing much ratting. And the few people that may be doing ratting, you may find someone, but you can go through 50 systems and it might say 3 or 4 people in the system, but you'll never find them. So the game itself has lost a bit, I thought there, because I had enjoyed previously roaming, um, pirating, and all those sorts of things. I don't have a problem with it. People might not be very happy about it, but uh, I'm very happy about it. I think it's going to add a new dynamic to the game, which gives it more complexity, and that's not a bad thing. I think generally, and I think there are some impacts going to be for it. So if we talk about the impacts, and it's really what I want to focus on in this video. I don't want to spend too much time focusing on the mechanics of it, because as I said, I'm not entirely sure we do actually know what the mechanics are. I'm not going to go over all this stuff. I think that's something we'll find out, and I may even do a compare and contrast video once it comes out and we're looking at how scanning works. But in terms of PvE, I don't think it's a bad thing, because at the moment you either find a dead space in Dulsec or you effectively can spawn one. I am going to do a different video showing how you can put into effect an effective system to increase your odds of spawning special anomalies quickly. So it just makes it more efficient. I've got it to the point where just about I can spawn a special for every 10 to 15 anomalies that I destroy. And one of those can be a dead space. Now the chances of dead space are very low to spawn, so they're the most rare ones that will spawn. And then once you go into a dead space, there's 3 layers of a dead space you go through. There'll be elite ships. Those elite ships will have the C-type loot on them, and also the wrecks that you need to build the faction ships. So if you're in Garista's dead space, you can get Garista's wrecks, which are worth a lot of ISK, and those of course can be turned into the Garista's blueprints, which can then go on to be made into the Garista's ships. So they're very popular, because of course the Rattlesnake is very popular, Gila's a very popular PvE ship. Same for the factions, same for the space. So at the moment that's out in nullsec. And at the moment that process is effectively farmed. If you have a decent fleet of large battleships, you can take on your T10s and you can just sit safely either in bubbles, or you can sit safely in a fleet and just take those systems down quickly. Not really quickly, but quick enough that you can spawn specials on a regular basis, including dead spaces, and you get lots. So what we end up with is a situation whereby there are lots of people have lots of dead space modules. I don't think this character's actually got loads, but I mean you'll see people sitting with hundreds of blue type modules. Now that generally means the market for them is underpriced. I mean these are top tier content in the game. And if you go look, I mean, these are going to be a couple of mil. I mean, this isn't. It might be a loss of ISK to a new player, but to established players, I mean, 2.5 million ISK for the top tier medium pulse laser. It does seem like it's a little bit underpriced. And crucially, when you're doing dead spaces, then these things. I mean, you've got to do the large dead spaces in order to get the large weapon systems, and which are difficult. The T8s, T9s, T10s, and to get these. But even at 26 million, it's not a lot of ISK. I mean, it's obviously more than the other things. I'm not saying it's but it's just underpriced for what it is now. Those prices might go down for C types, because we'll be seeing B types and A types and X types coming as well, which is, as I said, I don't think it's a bad thing. It is the reality that Dead Space modules have been too easy to farm in this game, and it means that anyone running their top-end ratting ship, I'm no different. running this is my high-sec account of running Oracle, and I'm sure I've got C-type large beam lasers on it. I've got the C-type medium micro warp drive. I've got the C-type heat. I've got the C-types. These are all C-types. I picked these up on the market, and not for absurd amounts of ISK or something that you've really got to grind for. In order to get there, you can get there relatively quickly in terms of ISK to fit out a ship with the top end stuff. And so I think if the dead spaces are harder, if the C-type modules are being destroyed in order to make B-types and other types, then that restricts the supply of it generally, and that may well change the prices. And I don't think, again, that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that dead spaces may be harder to find because they're a bigger reward for finding them, and I'm okay with that. Because there'll still be the scout anomalies, there'll still be the Inquisitor anomalies. They will still produce loot, and loot which at the moment is just, some of it's not worth anything. Again, and hopefully it'll push the prices up, because if dead space becomes not worth it, like a Caldari medium rifle, because you can't reprocess these, they're actually not worth very much at all. 65,000 ISK. I mean, I bet if I go look at the market, really this is my point about there's something wrong with the market at the moment. Medium railguns, medium rifle railguns. If I go look at Mark 9, so Mark 9, which is not as good as the Caldari, because Caldari is the one step below dead space at the moment. So Caldari is 30% cheaper. And that's worth this because the ore you can get from reprocessing it is worth this. This will be worth more. This is the meta level 5 that you'll get from running encounters. This is worth this because the ore from it is worth this. Yet the Caldari one is worth a fraction of that. But it's better. It's a better weapon system. I think that's it's even cheaper in some of it. And so hopefully that means if you have less of that, those things will become worth more, and there's a bit more balanced returns to the economy. Again, I don't see that as a bad thing. I don't know in terms of ore. I mean, there's huge amounts of ore in the market, and the market's dipped again in terms of ore or minerals. I think it's low. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Let's have a quick look. I think it's down to 16. Yeah. I mean, I saw it at 15 yesterday, and quite a chunk in G at 15, so that's actually coming back up a little bit. I mean, 17 has been where it's sat for a long time, and so you get an idea in terms of this. It might have an impact. Don't know if it will. I don't think people are as interested in mining the dead spaces as they will be in mining the Nihilus space anomalies as they will be in the dead space. But I mean, that's all very interesting. We'll have to see what the impact is and whether there's going to be more ore on the market, less, or about the same. I'm probably going to guess about the same because I think a lot, the people who really mine seriously mine multi-box, and you'll see 8-9 retrievers in a fleet just tearing up things. So I think people jumping into dead space isn't going to have a huge impact on the quantity of minerals on the market. I think the big change will be dead spaces, new modules, and all that sort of stuff. So there is that impact. It'll be interesting to see if we can find dead space anomalies in low sec and high sec, even if it's rarer. I mean, is that going to increase the amount of available dead space modules on the market because people can do it? Or maybe they just won't be as difficult and there just won't be as much loot. I mean, these are all things yet to be seen. It's difficult to say what is going to be possible because we don't know the mechanics of it. So I mean, there's a PvE impact that's having a market impact. The ore has an impact because of course it impacts ship prices. and ship prices will either go up and down according to the amount of cost of ore. So we're not going to have a huge change to the PI prices. It's the ore that will change, and the minerals. But as I said, I don't really see an enormous change in respect to that. What I am particularly interested in is the PvP aspect of it, because at the moment I can run encounters. I've got one active here. Didn't do that one. Mega Corporation I need to go do. I can run this, even if I run this into that's a 0.5 system, sorry. I'll have to run this into a 0.4 low sec system in order to destroy the beacon, but I can just go in there and do it. I can jump in there, destroy everything that's there, make my 25 million, get my crate, destroy the elites, get all that stuff, get the loot in total safety. I can run this entire encounter in total safety. A Mega Corporation, of course, is not one of the big storyline encounters. If you go, of course, Bad Hair Day is the top one. It's worth a lot at the moment on the market, and you can run it. And you can, if you're running it in a fleet, I run encounters 2 accounts at the same time, and I can do Bad Hair Day in about 2.5 hours, and it makes two. I think is it reward 300 million. Now, of course, if you buy it, it's going to cost you more. You're going to make less from it, but it's a way I can guarantee making. The price has gone up even more. So I think it's 300 million reward plus the loot plus the everything else you get for it. You get quite a lot. So I mean, effectively, if I bought it for 189, all right, fine, I can guarantee about 100 million for 2.5 hours on the game, risk-free. Save, obviously if the rats destroy me, and you've got to be careful. But once you know what you're doing, it's doable. It's just a grind, and I think that's where it's going to change. And I can understand some of maybe the mission runners' worries, but I just don't think there should be ISK so easily and freely available in the game, and it should be harder. And people, effectively, I run like I do on this Oracle. It's a max DPS fit. I've got a tank for incidental tank. I've got the micro warp drive so I can pick up loot quickly. But all of this is designed for max DPS. That's what I've got it fitted for. Because the DPS means I can do the encounters quickly. And things are going to have to change. So encounter runners can no longer just do it blindly, set it up and just run it and make their risk. They now will need to think about what are they going to do if they're scanned down. What are you going to do if you're scanned down? Which means the market has to change, the ships have to change, the ISK isn't as easy to get, and I'm okay with that. Because I run the encounters for ISK as well. I don't have a problem with that because I do a bit of ratting, I do a bit of industry, I do null-sec stuff. It depends what I feel on any particular day. I've got a number of accounts, I've got a number of alts, and they're all Omega duos, and I've paid for all that doing the stuff in-game. So I haven't had to buy Omega Duo, which is fantastic. It's a great part I like about the game is if you grind and do it, you can do it. But the encounter income is a large part of that. And so what I want to do with PvP, what I want to do is go hunt these people. I expect people to hunt me. I don't expect this to be safe. Now that injects multiple things. It means that encounters aren't as quick to run. Or as easy to run because you've got another risk factor in doing the encounter. So you're going to have to change your ship fit to something that is perhaps tankier. Perhaps you've got warp core stabs in your rigs. Perhaps you're carrying warp core or a warp core stabs on you, so you can get away. Perhaps you'd put a cloak on, like the developer suggested. Alternatively, you might be jumping out of that anomaly if someone jumps in, but you might lose it. We don't know. I don't know if someone else can finish it off, basically, and steal the container at the end or do something else. We don't entirely know what's going to happen with that. But if you can jump in, I assume you can you can take on the rats and destroy it. So you can steal part of the encounter from someone. But what that means is it reduces the amount of ISK that people can make. from the encounters. It also means that there's going to be an increase in the number of ships that get destroyed, because if someone jumps in and you're going to take on the people who are doing the encounter, someone's probably not going to make it out. So either the ship attacking or the ship defending is going to get destroyed, and that means they're going to have to buy a new ship. That means they're going to have to do new insurance. They're going to do all those things, but that again reduces the amount of ISK flowing around the game. That means that ISK is worth more. It means that Plex price is going to come down more because people can't buy as much Plex. Therefore, the demand for Plex isn't as high. And so my hope is it brings a balance to the game that we are still need in terms of industry and in terms of ISK values of things, but also it brings back a bit of PvP. PvP, in my view, died off enormously in this game. That's not to say, I mean, I've lost many ships. There are going to be many kill mails out there that people have of my ships that are worth a lot of ISK, and I'm okay with that because I enjoy the game. Fly out. If someone beats me, if someone does something better, if someone has a better matchup, that's the point of it. And then I've got to go grind and I've got to go make my ship back. Okay, I don't mind that. I can live with that. That's part of the game. But at the moment, that huge part's died because you can't PvP really in low sec. Yeah, you can pop to tamer, maybe. You can maybe pick up a few bits and pieces. You can maybe get a couple of encounters, but it's not easy in the sense that you could go through low sec 50 systems and not find anyone to even try to PvP, let alone look for a matchup. For example, if I took my hound out, am I going to find a matchup I'm happy to take with my hound? Almost certainly not. Almost certainly not. I'm not going to find that. And so what I want is the ability to have a bit more PvP, how it was earlier on in the game. So there is an opportunity to have all those interactions, and yeah, there will be salt and there will be upset, and I will lose my ship and other people will lose their ships, but it's part of the game. That's fine. Don't fly what you can't afford to lose. I've lost loads, and I don't mind saying that. I'm not going to say I'm the most amazing PvPer out there. I am not, but I do it for fun. Everything else I do is to make enough to pay for my PvP ships. That's fine. And in nullsec, all right, you can have the big blob fights, PvP, but it's pretty difficult to jump into other corp or alliance systems and have PvP where you can have a chance of winning, because you'll jump in and for all good reasons, those corps will be defensive and they will have 5-10 players on you immediately because they'll call out, and that's great. I'm not criticising that, but I'm saying that takes away the element of PvP that you can have, and there needs to be a middle ground. Now that middle ground might equally be filled by the arenas that are coming in August, and that give an opportunity for something else, and that might be great fun. But I do think there should be PvP. I do think that the encounters shouldn't be safe. That's not to say I think encounter runners should just be fair game in the sense that they have no opportunity to be taken down. I don't agree with that. I mean, they need to be able to change their fits on their ships. They need to do things. They'll need to pay attention. But I'm okay with that as part of the game. And I intend to go out and hunt, and have a bit of fun, and we'll see what happens. So those are my current views on scanning. I hope this hasn't been an inordinately long video. It probably has. But it sets out those things. We'll see what happens on the 2nd of June. And until then, fly safe. And thanks for watching.